All right, so it's the final countdown to the annual Joburg Film Festival, showcasing 60 exceptionally curated films from around the world. It runs from the 19th to the 24th of November, and Percy Mabandu, who's the communications manager, joins me this evening. Percy, hi, thanks for your time.
Well, hey, thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Films from 16 countries?
60.
60?
Yeah.
60?
No, 60 films from around over about 20 countries.
About 20 countries. Yeah. I mean, talk to us a bit about that. You know, that's a lot of films.
Yes, that's a lot of films to stick into 5 days.
Into 5 days. Yeah. Tell us a bit about that, you know.
Look, the Joburg Film Festival is a curated film festival.
Yeah.
Where other film festivals do a call for submission, where, filmmakers from across the world then submit and hope to make it. What we do with the leadership of Pedro Pimenta, who's our head curator, working with Nhlanhla Ndaba and other guys on this team, go around the world every year to look for the best available films at that time in the year, with an emphasis on African stories.
Yes.
And so this is Africa continentally and Africa diaspora. So you'll have films from Jamaica, for instance. Idris Elba's debut as a director, a film called The Yardie, premiered at the Joburg Film Festival.
Yeah.
Bloodlight and Bami, a film about Grace Jones, a kind of biopic, docu. A film called Redemption from Mozambique, and Salvation is a South African film, So we have films from across the African world brought together exceptionally. As we say, we pride ourselves as a curated film festival, and we believe that our curatorial team is one of the best teams put together to do the job, and they bring together all these great films for people to see.
I guess we ask this all the time, but what's the criteria for choosing these particular films? I mean, yes, it has a lot to do with, inspired by Africa, by the continent, but what other criteria are we looking at?
I mean, it's like the Colonel's recipe, in the sense that the curatorial team looks for a number of things. I mean, one of those things, it has to be an African story, and it has to be an exceptional film available at the time. And of course, the level at which Africans are involved, it's a number of things that they look for. I mean, they'll speak better there about the viewing and the choosing. But at the heart of it is that it's an African story.
Yeah.
The festival's take-off line is that our stories are our gold. What does that mean? We are a festival named for Johannesburg.
Yeah.
And Johannesburg was founded on the discovery of gold. But nobody mines in this town anymore. So where's that gold? The gold is the people and their stories. So when we look at Johannesburg, we see the lives that are lived here and the stories of, the rich stories of those people here. That's where the gold is. And if you're going to have a conversation about how to unlock the creative economies into a drive of economic and social transformation, you have to think about the value that you build into those stories. Into those stories through the medium of film.
Yeah.
Now, Joburg is the home of film and television in South Africa, so that means then when you put together a festival, you have these things at the back of your mind. So we have a three-legged festival, if you will. We have the film program, which has to do with these beautiful films that we're calling people to come and watch. We have the youth and audience development program, which is about young people who have an aspiration or an idea that they want to enter the film and television industry, but they don't know how to. So a month leading up to the festival itself, which happens between the 19th and the 24th of November, throughout October, we're having these workshops in the townships. And then you have the industry program, which happens in the context of Discop Joburg. Now, Discop is a marketplace of film and content. So film buyers and content buyers from across the world gather in Sandton at that time. So we have our program in that context to say, how do you then make sure that the conversations that are happening at Discop do so with our filmmakers and our stories as a priority? So we take space there and curate master classes and panel discussions to try and make sure that South African filmmakers and storytellers get a priority there.
Are we there in terms of, as Africans, in terms of understanding the value of telling our own stories through film?
Look, I
appreciate that you would go into the townships. It's great that it all starts there.
Yeah.
But do we have that appreciation as Africans for telling our own stories?
I think so. I mean, I think if you look at the growth of streaming sites, and if you even look before that technology broke through, we were already seeing, things like Nollywood and its various permutations and its various or product centers across the continent that work on that mode, that people are hungry to tell their stories. The culture of the music video, at least, tells you that people, want to tell their stories. I think what's missing is a kind of legislative framework and a marketplace that is ripe enough to invest in young filmmakers, who are doing so, and to make sure that the consumers are there. We're struggling, to have people coming into the cinemas, and part of it has to do with the fact that TV has gotten great, so it's easier to stay at home. But it's a whole, kind of argument that you can make. But I think in the main, Africans from Cape to Cairo and globally understand the importance of telling their own stories, and the conversation about how to unlock that as a driver of economic transformation and social transformation is at hand. And I think we're getting there. I mean, there's other pieces that need to fall right into this puzzle, but I think the conversations are happening in the right way.
So what's different about this one?
This film festival?
Yeah, what's special about this one? Yes, we're going to have it annually, but what draws me to it this time?
If you're interested in the best African stories on film anywhere, and that's curated, this is the place to be. And it's in Johannesburg, I know Lagos would like to think it's the best, it's the best city on the continent, but I think we've got something unique that's bubbling here. And for the first time in our 3-year life as a festival, we have a main sponsor in the person of MultiChoice. So it means we have had to have, slightly good support to be able to do things that we weren't able to do. So we are now having a hub in the Nelson Mandela Square, which meant that we're able to have 2 premieres a day, 2 red carpet experiences a day, with films showing at the Auto and General Theatre on the Square. Now, young people from across the province have been coming to come and enjoy films, but also it means they have access to people in the industry that the others would not have had. So that's great. That's why you come to the hub. And also, the films are great, and it's good to sit down and get some popcorn and
relax.
And enjoy a good film and enjoy a good story.
I think Francis and I would need a bit of that.
I think you do too.
Yes, great stuff. Thank you so much, Percy Mabandu, who's the communications manager, of course, for the Annual Joburg Film Festival. Sounds very exciting. They're, of course, running from the 19th to the 24th of November. If you're in Johannesburg, you can certainly catch all of that. Let's take a recap now of our headlines.